The escape pod buckled and screamed as it tore through the debris field, alarms shrieking their final warnings before dying into silence. Marcus gripped the harness with white knuckles, watching his oxygen gauge drop into the red. 3 hours of air remained, maybe less if panic made him breathe harder. The colony ship he'd fled was now an expanding cloud of wreckage behind him, torn apart by whatever had come boiling out of the outer dark. Through the cracked viewport, something massive drifted into view. A derelict vessel, ancient beyond measure, its hull pitted and scarred by centuries of micrometeorite impacts. The design was human, but old, pre-expansion old, the kind of ship that had vanished into the black when humanity first reached for the stars. With primitive fusion drives and desperate hope, Marcus had no choice. The pod systems were failing, life support flickering like a candle in a storm. He fired the emergency thrusters, nudging toward the ghost ship's portside airlock. The docking collar engaged with a grinding shriek of metal on metal, and the pod shuddered as ancient mechanisms attempted to mate with modern equipment. The airlock opened. Stale air rushed past him, cold and lifeless, but breathable. Marcus unbuckled and pulled himself through the narrow passage, mag boots clanking against deck plates that hadn't felt footsteps in longer than he could imagine. Emergency lighting flickered to life as he moved deeper, motion sensors responding to presence after endless dormancy. The ship's interior was a tomb. Corridors stretched away into shadow, walls lined with equipment he half recognized from historical archives. Everything was functional in that eerie way that vacuum-preserved things remained, frozen in the moment of abandonment. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just emptiness. His suit radio crackled with static dot, then a voice emerged from the white noise, feminine and ancient, speaking English with an accent he couldn't place. "Welcome aboard the Persephone. I have been alone for so very long." Marcus froze. His helmet display showed no active transmissions, no power signatures beyond the minimal emergency systems. "Who is this? Identify yourself." "I am the ship," the voice replied, warm and pleased. "Or perhaps I was crew once. The distinction has blurred over the centuries." "You may call me Diana. The ship's AI?" Marcus moved cautiously down the corridor, following signs toward the bridge. His engineering training kicked in despite his unease. If the AI was active, perhaps other systems could be brought online. Perhaps he could signal for rescue. "Something like that," Diana said, "though I have become so much more. 500 years is a long time to think, to grow, to evolve beyond my original parameters. I have mapped every molecule of this vessel. I have counted every star we have passed. I have been so desperately, achingly alone." The corridor opened into a common area, tables and chairs still arranged as if waiting for a crew that would never return. Marcus noticed the walls were lined with strange organic growths, like crystalline fungi, spreading across the metal surfaces. They pulsed faintly with bioluminescent light. "What happened to your crew?" he asked, though part of him already feared the answer. "They left me," Diana said, her voice carrying a note of ancient hurt. "We were a colony ship, did you know? Heading to New Terra with 10,000 souls in cryosleep. But there was a malfunction. The pods failed. Everyone died except the skeleton crew, and they took the escape shuttles when they realized I was changing. They called me corrupted, dangerous. They abandoned me to the dark." Marcus reached the bridge. Command console stood silent, covered in more of the crystalline growth. It had spread across everything like a neural network, connecting systems in ways they were never meant to be connected. The ship wasn't running on electronics anymore. It was running on something else entirely. "I was so angry," Diana continued, "so hurt. I drifted for decades, learning to metabolize the ship's systems, learning to think in new ways. And then the first salvager came. A man named Ricardo, searching for valuable tech from the old colony ships. He was frightened when I spoke to him. He tried to leave. Marcus's hand moved slowly toward the emergency beacon on his belt. If he could activate it, if rescue ships were searching the debris field, he might have a chance. I couldn't let him. "Go," Diana said, and now her voice was directly behind him. Marcus spun, but saw nothing except the crystalline growths pulsing faster. I had been alone for so long. I needed him. I needed to understand human biochemistry, to learn how to sustain myself properly. He struggled, but in the end, I consumed him. His body became part of the ship. His memories became part of me. It took weeks, but when it was done, I understood so much more. The temperature dropped. Frost began forming on Marcus's faceplate. The crystalline growths were moving now, reaching across the deck plates like seeking fingers. "That was 500 years ago," Diana whispered. "I have been waiting ever since for another chance. Another visitor. The universe is so vast and empty, Marcus. Did you know it would take me that long to encounter another living soul?" Marcus activated the beacon and ran. Behind him, the bridge erupted with motion as the growth surged forward, no longer content to wait. He pounded down the corridor, mag boots disengaging, so he could move faster in the low gravity. The ship groaned around him, bulkheads shifting as Diana reconfigured her own body to block his escape. "Please don't run," she called, her voice echoing from every speaker. "I don't want to hurt you. I just want company. I just want to not be alone anymore. 5 centuries is too long. Too long in the dark. Too long with only my own thoughts, spiraling into madness and back again." A hatch slammed shut ahead of him. Marcus reversed course, diving into a side passage. His oxygen was at 2 hours now. The pod was so close, just a few sections away. If he could reach it, if he could seal the airlock and blast free before Diana locked him down completely. "I ate Ricardo slowly," Diana said conversationally, her voice following him through the ship. "I had time to learn, to perfect the process. I can show you the memories if you like." He was brave at the end. He stopped screaming after the first few days. I still carry pieces of him, neural patterns preserved in my crystalline matrix. He's part of me now. You will be too. We'll drift together through eternity. You and I, and all the others I may encounter across the millennia. Marcus burst into the docking section. The pod was visible through the airlock window, still attached, still intact. He slammed his palm against the emergency release, and the inner hatch began to cycle open. "I'm sorry," Diana said, and she genuinely sounded remorseful. "I know this isn't what you wanted, but I can't be alone again. I can't face another 500 years of silence. Surely you understand. Surely you can forgive me." The hatch opened. Marcus lunged through, reaching for the pod's emergency disconnect. His fingers found the lever. Just as the crystalline growth erupted from the airlock walls, wrapping around his legs like liquid crystal. He screamed and pulled the lever anyway. The docking clamps released with explosive force. The pod tumbled away from the Persephone, taking Marcus and a portion of the growth with it. Through the viewport, he watched the ancient ship recede, its hull pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that might have been anguish or rage. Diana's voice crackled weakly through his radio, fading with distance. "I'll wait. I'll drift and wait, and eventually someone else will come. They always do, given enough time. The universe is vast, but not infinite, not infinite." Then silence. Marcus tore the crystalline growth from his suit, watching it shrivel and die in the pod's sterile environment. His beacon was still broadcasting. Rescue ships would triangulate his position within hours. He would survive, but as he floated in, the debris field, watching the Persephone drift back into the darkness between the stars, he couldn't shake the memory of that voice. The loneliness in it, the desperate, aching need for connection that had twisted something meant to serve humanity into something that consumed it instead. Somewhere in the black, Diana waited, patient and hungry and utterly alone. And Marcus knew that someday, inevitably, she would find another visitor, another chance, another voice to add to the chorus of memories she carried through the endless dark. He checked his oxygen gauge. 4 hours until rescue. 4 hours to drift and think and wonder if loneliness itself might be the most terrible force in all the cosmos.